The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to another edition of our program, CHW in Action, with your host, your CHW, Rafael Calderon. As always, I like to point out that CHW stands for Community Health Worker in Action, because I'm always in action trying to bring you, my community of Nashua, of the whole state of New Hampshire and the whole New England region, and even beyond, up to Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm trying to bring or introduce you to new ways on how to create your ideal lifestyle. Because a lifestyle is something you do every day, and if you feel healthy, you feel happier. And as well as I also like to point out, whenever I meet someone that knows more than I do about something that can help you create your ideal lifestyle, I bring him into the show. And today we have Julie. We'll talk about Julie and Feng Shui. She's a Feng Shui certified professional, and she's a very fascinating lady. So let's welcome her and talk to her. Julie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Because I want to know about Feng Shui, and I know the audience wants to know about Feng Shui. So I introduced you as Julie, but can you please tell us your full title, your full name, and what you do?
Sure. I'm Julie Pelletier-Rutkowski, and I'm a certified Feng Shui practitioner, and I'm also a registered nurse.
Very nice. Right before the lights came on, the cameras rolled, we were talking about your story, how you got into Feng Shui. Would you mind telling me that again?
No, I'd be happy to tell you.
Thank you.
My story starts about probably 15 years ago. I was a school nurse at the time, and I worked in an office with 4 other school nurses, and we had a professional day that was scheduled, and the woman canceled, and so all of the school was off, and they still wanted all the staff and the faculty to attend. And what they substituted was folks who had different things that they did to relax, to come and talk about what was their relaxation practices or different things that they did. And a woman who worked in a few offices down came and talked about Feng Shui, and she gave us a small handout that talked about different Feng Shui principles and practices. We, the 4 of us, the nurses, got very interested. Our nurse manager also worked with Reiki, so she was a Reiki practitioner. So there was a lot of holistic, the office was very holistic anyway in nature, and so we started to use some of the Feng Shui that we learned in this little workshop. And it was immediately noticeable how the flow of the office was a lot different. And we became very interested. We noticed that children were calmer when they left. They were, of course, all high anxiety when they came into the nurse. But by the time they left, we were able to calm them down a lot quicker, get them back to school and back to their classrooms. So we noticed an immediate difference. From there, we went to practicing in our home, and then I became very interested, found a program in Connecticut, the New England School of Feng Shui, worked for 2 years to get certified, and just recently finished a master's level program with a master from China, and I meet with her in New York, at a temple in New York.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nice. See, I have always wanted to know more about Feng Shui, and I know you have a presentation. So can we go through the presentation, and forgive me in advance if I interrupt you as you're going through, because I really want to know, I want to learn more, and I know the audience wants to learn more. So let's see how we can do the presentation in a way that you're comfortable and you don't get too mad at me if I interrupt you too much.
No, please ask as many questions as you need to. It's a very old art and a science. Is 4,000 years old, and we only have less than an hour to catch you up. So I'll do my best.
Oh, sounds good to me.
Great. Well, Feng Shui is, the introduction I give to everybody is that the correct pronunciation is Feng Shui, not Feng Shui, which is frequently what I get called about my Feng Shui practice. And Feng Shui literally means, the translation is wind and water. And the energy rides on the wind, through the wind, and floats in the water. And so using that as a dynamic, we sometimes, and you'll see in another slide, how we can have too much energy or too little energy. And what we look for in Feng Shui is the perfect balance of energy in our home, and we say that it's good harmony and good balance in our home, and that creates an environment for us to thrive in our own home. So a lot of times most folks will look at Feng Shui in terms of the design, and designers are very involved in Feng Shui, where your furniture is placed, and a lot of times you'll find Feng Shui books actually in the designer section of a bookstore. Mm-hmm. But it's about the energetic design. It's not necessarily about where your furniture is placed. It's about how the flow in the home works. And you want your space not only to look good, but also to feel good as you walk into the home. I always say you want to give your house that energetic hug. I mean, the house gives you an energetic hug when you walk into the door. You want your house to welcome you as you walk through the door. Generally, people feel like, oh, I have to do my dishes, the laundry, I need to pick up the clutter along the way. There's so many barriers to feeling good in our own space.
So it's like if somebody comes home from work after a long day of work, and they need to decompress, they need to unwind.
Yes.
And Feng Shui
yes.
can help with that.
Yeah, it will. It will help that if everything is in its place, then you have a place. And you can move throughout your home and feel like it's working for you. Because there's a lot of energy in our homes, and so you want that energy to actually, you want your home to feel like it's supporting you in whatever's going on in your life. There are people who are single and maybe looking for a relationship. There may be who are young parents who have a chaotic household with young children or school-aged children, or there's folks who are downsizing and are looking for a whole different type of energy in their home. So that's what we try to create. Does the energy that they desire, is that the energy that shows in their home?
I see.
So we have, going back to the wind and the water, so you can have too much wind, like a hurricane. You can have very little wind where nothing is blowing and you feel like you're sweating and you're fatigued just from being in the sun. So that you want a gentle wind in your perfect environment. And the same with water. As the energy is in the water, is flowing through the water. And you can have stale, stagnant, and houses are the same way, or too much energy. So it's flowing so greatly that you're almost suffocating in all of the water. And you feel that energy in your space.
What kind of energy would depression fall under? Like if somebody is going through a depression situation or feels depressed and walks into their home and they get basically overwhelmed by all this depressing energy.
Right.
What would you say to that?
Well, first of all, what I would say is, what is your, people, if you're generally in a depressed mood or depressed state, there's generally a reason or a wish that's not happening for them. So what is the wish? What is the desire for the reason for the depression? So we would start working specifically with that particular area in the home. But overall, a house that, very simply, maybe the light bulbs need to be changed. You want to light, everything is a metaphor in Feng Shui. You want to light up your life, light up those sad areas in your home, and maybe those are the sad areas in your life. So changing the light bulbs, moving clutter and dust, clearing a closet is an amazing tool to see what's hidden in those closets, and maybe there's something that needs to be uncovered. And so just by clearing closets and putting things back in really is so helpful. Washing a window, washing your windows, they're your eyes of your home. So washing the windows helps you to see more clearly about what is really going on maybe in your life that you don't see, but maybe other people might see. or the Feng Shui consultant might be able to help you to see. So it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. And I ask you because, as I told you in the beginning or before we started, I'm a community health worker. I do home visits, and I have gone into homes where people are depressed. And I look at the darkness in the apartment, the clutter, and I imagine that has something to do with it, but I have no clue how to basically direct people in that department. So that's why I'm telling you, I'm sincerely very interested in learning more about Feng Shui so I can bring that information out to the community.
Very good. It really is helping folks because they're stuck, especially like you said, in a dark, cluttered place, apartment, home, in a dark, you are unable to move from being stuck. And that's like no wind, and no water, or little water. So so they're stuck. So that's a situation where you want to get energy moving in that home.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm sorry, I'm keeping you from the slides. So carry on.
So the goal for Feng Shui is to have balance and clarity in your environment, as I said. So really, what is it? What is it the folks desire? So we're working with somebody who might be sad or depressed, finding out, of course, what is making, if there's a specific situation, and not long-term, a situation that may be making them sad, depressed. And Feng Shui, we start working with that particular area. If it's a relationship, we're going to start working in the bedroom. And we're going to look at the Feng Shui of the bedroom. If it's job, we're going to start looking in the career area. The career area is the very front of your house. Your front door, when you walk in, is your career area. So we start looking very specifically at what part of the home we can work with and help folks along with by clearing that energy first so that they can start to blossom really in their own home.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What I'm thinking is that I use something called the Wheel of Life philosophy, and I adjusted it to my personal life experiences. So I call it CHW Forever, it's Wheel of Life philosophy, because CHW Forever is my company is me, so on and so forth. And we have different areas in which we need to basically assess where the person needs the help and focus on that. So Feng Shui, what you're describing is basically the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. But it's using your physical space. So even though, folks might be having, mental health issues or physical issues, it's usually working within their physical space helps the internal space.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Then continue that. I know I'm interrupting you from the presentation, but
that's great.
I want people to know, so go ahead.
So one of the questions I get asked frequently is about Feng Shui and how did it sort of find its way to the United States. The history of Feng Shui is it's at 4,000 years old. Other books might say, longer or a little shorter, but it's 4,000 years old. It started in China, and it started with the best place for a burial site. So where's the perfect, and only royalty practiced Feng Shui, and nothing was ever written down. Up until recently, it was all word of mouth. And there are certain aspects of Feng Shui where you can find it in a book. I generally recommend Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life by Karen Carter, or a book called Feng Shui for Dummies by David Kennedy, which talks about the specific Feng Shui that I practice. And those two books just really help with finding the different aspects. There's many, many different aspects. Imagine it's 4,000 years old, so it's collected a lot of folklore, and it's moved to different countries and cultural practices. So there are different aspects of it before it came to the United States. And so that's really the basis of Feng Shui. And like I said, it really hasn't been written down. A lot of the things that I'm now learning at the master's level is only through word of mouth. So some of the different we call them cures or different adjustments that we can offer a client sometimes only is told through spoken word.
I see.
It's fascinating. So there are three types of Feng Shui practices. There's the very traditional compass style, and that's was the one that was found in China. There's land-based, and then I practice a Buddhist style. I'm not a Buddhist, but it's based in Buddhism, where there's a lot of meditation and a lot of intuition that's done with the Feng Shui. So in addition to talking with, and I'm sure you've developed this too from working with clients and people and in their homes, that you sort of develop this very deep sense of whether or not, of what the issue, that there's other issues that you maybe need to explore.
All the time. You walk in trying to talk to someone about diabetes or arthritis or a heart condition, and it always goes into something else.
That's right. That's right. And you develop. That's what's developed over the years. And so because I'm a nurse, I call them cures, but other books call them Feng Shui adjustments. They're different aspects of Feng Shui, and the cures I might offer. They're called. They're very. They're very. They make sense. So there's another level that's called transcendental, which are much deeper level cures, as opposed to mundane, which means I can explain it to them. If you move your couch, then this is going to flow a little bit easier.
Okay.
And there's a lot of myths about Feng Shui. It's not a religion. It's not voodoo. It's not witchcraft. You don't have to be Chinese to practice it. It's very...
so I can practice.
You can practice it, and I can too. We're fine. And it's slowly evolving, and it's only been this type, we call it Western Feng Shui, has only really been in the United States about 25 years, 30 years. So it really is new, coming along with yoga and Reiki practices, some of the real, Chinese-based practices. It's really starting to evolve. And the type of Feng Shui that I practice is based on your intention. So, like I said, talking about folks who are depressed, you go right back to what is it you want in your life? What's important to you? How can Feng Shui help you get to this level? There's 9 areas in our home. We can all put our problems in 9 of areas. That's nice to know. Interesting. Health, or career, relationship, prosperity, our family, our children, helpful people that we need.
That is my Wheel of Life philosophy.
That's right.
I'll show it to you sometime.
All right. I will look forward to seeing it. So folks will ask about a certain issue, and then I will immediately go to that area of the home and look at what might be there.
Okay. Interesting. Nice. I'm learning.
Great.
Bring it on.
So why do people use Feng Shui? So using those 9 life areas, a lot of folks will call me and they're looking for a love connection, or there was there's some problems in the relationship. So we look at those areas. Clutter in the bedroom will suck the life out of a relationship.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So look at the bedroom. If you want a stronger relationship, is one of the reasons. Family relationship, taking control of a situation. If you feel, like you have lost control of a situation, there's an area in your house that we can look at. People to feel overall more relaxed, more calm in their, again, when you walk into your house, how do you feel? Do you feel welcomed by your own home when you walk through the door? Clarity, finding clarity in a situation. Physical health. There's part of our home, our hallways, our arteries, our vessels. So do we have clear vessels? If we have a heart problem, we maybe want to clear our hallways, because that's where the energy flows. We want clear flowing energy through our home, through our body. You want, for you, increased recognition and respect as you grow your business. So there's a certain area in your home where you want to light the fire under your business, light the fire, and how the community views you is very important. Prosperity, everybody needs prosperity,
I
more
agree.
prosperity. So how to work in with the prosperity area. And there's a special area in our homes for helpful people. So everybody, and it is one of the areas that folks don't appreciate, that whenever you're the helpful person going into a lot of these homes, but you can call in that energy. So if there's a particular situation going on, health, business, school, relationship, you can call in those. Sometimes you don't know who they are, but they come into your, we've all had that experience where people drop into your life and you think, wow, this person has just been so helpful to me. So those are some of the reasons why folks will ask for a Feng Shui consultation.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So Feng Shui is all about energy. And everything is alive with energy. So before we walked into this space, it was 2 chairs and a table. But when you entered we entered and we changed the whole dynamic of this room.
Nice.
And that was so beautiful. And that's what energy and chi, and it's chi. But chi can be negative and chi can be positive. And you want to surround yourself with only the positive chi.
Okay.
And get rid of the negative. Clutter is a perfect example. Chi comes from inside to outside the home. And here's the most important thing. I'm going to ask you this one question.
Okay.
Do you use the front door of your home?
I do.
You do. Because that's where energy comes from. Back in the day when there was, when the Chinese were using Feng Shui, practicing Feng Shui, energy came from the rivers. That's the water flow. Energy came from, all of our homes aren't sitting on rivers or a water source. It's the street that brings the energy. So you want to bring that energy to your front door. So are you pulling good energy? And it only enters through your front door.
Interesting.
So using your front door, and I always tell folks, if you leave here with one bit of advice, it's to at least once a day open your front door and go through and call in the good chi with you.
That's so interesting because I know so many people that they use the side door, they park the car on the driveway
That's
and
right.
they walk to the side door. Interesting.
Exactly. So, and the little graphic on the screen will show energy that will go right through a home if there's not good Feng Shui. So, and the slide shows that if you can stand at your front door and look out your back door, then you're right through, then the energy might be moving too fast.
I have a question.
Yes.
What if you live in an apartment
Yeah.
and you cannot see from the front door to the back door?
That's absolutely fine. The space that you work in, that we would work in, is only from your personal door is your front door. So that's your door. So that's the space that you pay rent for, that's the space that you work with.
Okay.
So that's fine. So you don't want to be able to see through anyway. That's not the best Feng Shui. You want to be able to see energy moving slowly through your home. So if you started in your front door and just walked gently throughout your home, you should be able to walk to every room easily and gently and sort of not walk into a wall or walk into a dark room or walk into a closet. You want to be able to move that energy around. We have certain ways to do that using energy, and usually crystals and mirrors, which is what we call the Band-Aids in Feng Shui, that we can start to move that energy. So.
Okay, I'm good.
You're good.
Yes.
All right.
So I don't want to keep you from the presentation, but I have so many questions about energy. But I'll be... Okay.
How's your clutter?
I have a lot of clutter, but I'm a happy person, so I get around it. Because my apartment, I try to turn it into a TV studio, basically. So I have more equipment. Actually, there's more equipment here, but I do have a lot of equipment and computers and stuff like that in my apartment, and a lot of books because I love to read. So I do have some clutter.
But you use all of what's in your home.
I say I would 75%. Because I have this habit of, I read a book and I'll just put it in my personal library and let it just sit there. And then I won't use it again until a situation comes up. So yes, some of the stuff I have there, maybe my girlfriend keeps trying to tell me that I need to clean some stuff out. So that's why I'm guilty of some clutter. So 75% of the stuff I do use.
All right, very good. So here's a slide that we have, like what's hiding in your house. And a lot of times what you see and what I see might be two different types of clutter.
Okay.
But one of the basic point is that if you feel agitated in your house or a little anxious, then it's too much. And we say clutter suffocates. It suffocates the energy. And so the too much of it is you can't really move around. So
Okay.
Here's a great photograph of a home that has too much clutter. And this actually is a home of somebody who knows a little bit about Feng Shui, not me, a little bit about Feng Shui. But you can see that there are certain parts that are, her desk is facing in the right direction for in a Feng Shui principle, but there's so much clutter, it's so hard to work in that space. So it would be very, very difficult for somebody to work in that space. And the same with your kitchen. Your kitchen is a space where it should be a space where family gathers to sort of talk about what is going on in the family, in the home, and in their lives. But if there's so much clutter, the clutter is doing all the talking. What they say in Feng Shui is that all of our things have a voice.
Interesting.
So if your clutter is talking to you, what is it saying?
A little congested. Okay, that's very interesting.
So the important thing is when we're to declutter is to, and I talk a lot about some big furniture and things that are sort of overtaking a space, is to remove the big things because they have big voices. And then the little things start working at it very slowly, and then eventually it will start to, you'll see progress, and the voices will get quieter. So just think about that. Everything in your home is chatting to you.
Interesting.
Yep. There's lots of voices going around in there. And here's another photograph of just too much stuff. And people talk about their feelings around clutter. There's a lot of energy around clutter these days. The book by Marie Kondo, The Joy of Tidying Up, and she's got a TV show on now, and she talks about you must find joy in everything in your home. So if you find joy in all of the books that you have that you're using, then it's not clutter. If it brings joy, then it's just something that's completing who you are and helping you with your mission of, what you want to do.
That's good to know.
It's good to know, exactly. But if you feel anxious or depressed or frustrated, annoyed, resentful because you can't keep your space as clear and clean as somebody else, that's when you know that it's getting to be a little bit too, it's invading your life. The energy is overwhelming you.
Nice.
And there's a famous organizer, and his name is Peter Walsh, and he talks about memory clutter, and a lot of us have this. We keep things about that from our past, like events and different things. I call it memory clutter. And then someday clutter is clutter that you might use. Someday you might use this.
That's what I'm guilty of.
Fill in the blank, right? Whatever. And just realizing that is what it is, okay, and what it is. So I get asked a lot about things about divorce papers. What do I do with those? I don't really have to keep them, but I have to keep them. Or albums that maybe, relationship albums. And so there's a lot of sort of, what do I do with these things that I have to keep? Because they're not memory, and they're certainly not someday clutter. And there's a way to manage that so that they don't emit any more the energy, that you kind of sort of neutralize that energy. So there's a way to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how we use the energy. So how do you start decluttering? Go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, so how do we handle if we have too much clutter?
Yeah.
So nice segue.
Nice.
So,
So one of the important things to do is to set an intention. So what is it? Why do you want to declutter? Do you want to move? Maybe you're downsizing. Maybe you want a new home, but you think, oh my goodness, it's gonna take me so long to remove what's here, so that because I don't want to take this to a new space because I'm not necessarily going to need it. So there's a lot of thinking before you decide that you just want to get rid of everything. That you really have to set a plan up.
okay.
The first thing is to remove those items, the big items, for sure. Get rid of those big things that are taking up too much space. A lot of furniture. You don't need that extra bureau or those chairs. There's so many things in our home that we don't need. Want to organize, because after you get rid of those things, you're left with many things that just need to be put in their place.
Right.
Then you clean it. Don't bother cleaning until you've done all those other things, because this is before you get that, you're going to land up starting all over again.
Okay.
And then I say, then you call the Feng Shui consultant before all that, because
Then we'll call you.
call me, right? Call me, because I'm just going to tell you, to remove, to organize, to clean, and then the important thing, most important thing, is you're going to repeat it, because Feng Shui and also decluttering is a moment in time, and because we change and grow. Once our intention is realized, your home is going to change and grow. How many homes do I go into where there's still a 4-bedroom house, there's the children that are now grown and out, and they still have the room set up just like as if they were coming home tomorrow.
Yep.
They still have the trophies on the wall, and that's all. That's all not healthy for the person living in the home, and also it's taking away from the energy of the person the child that was in the home. So clearing the child's room, giving the grown now adult's room, maybe giving them the important things that they want to keep, and then just making room for something new in your life. Maybe it's a sewing room, or maybe it's an exercise room, or maybe you want to sell the home and let somebody else grow a family in that home. So it's so important to set an intention and realize what is going on. So,
very nice.
Yeah, and let me just get to the next point.
No, we're looking into I'm anxious.
So we're showing 2 slides that have a very specific intention. This is a person who was starting a business, and on the left-hand side, what shows is that there's a hutch, and on that hutch is pictures of her family, the family bills, a computer, family computer. There's some of her business material is on there, and one of the things that we talked about during our consultation is, what's the purpose of the room? So each room has a purpose, each room has a job, and this job for this particular room was to start her business. She was literally, she worked in materials, she made curtains, and she was making napkins and pillows, and so she needed space to do that, and she also needed space and office space. So on the right hand side is what actually, when everything was all worked out for her and she realized set an intention to move all of her family belongings out of her office, so there's not mixed energies in there. She had a dedicated office and dedicated workspace, and behind was her sewing machine, and she was in her ironing board, and she was able to really work with a nice space, and her business blossomed because she now cleared the area, and she didn't have mixed energies anymore. It was very separate and very very helpful for her to build this business in her home. And she's moved out of the home. This office has moved out of her home, and now she's working and has a much bigger space.
Nice. So it worked for her.
It worked for her.
Nice.
Absolutely. So there are 7 very, very important things when you're decluttering that you should realize. And these are from the Western Guide to Feng Shui by Tara Collins. And each one of these, if you follow anything from today's talk, it would be these 7 things.
Okay.
Everything in your space, do I love it? Do I need it? Does it support who I am in my life now? So having, pictures, the bedrooms of your grown children with their with their Spider-Man bedspreads and all that, it's not supporting who you are now in your life. Does the item rejuvenate me? Does it give me, does it nourish me? Does it inspire me in my life? This is everything that's around you. What memories or thoughts are associated with this? Do I need to fix it or repair it? Is it time to let it go? Can I lend it? Can I give it to an organization? Can I sell it? So
interesting. I'm just thinking that I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking of my own apartment and my own space, because I do have it like a TV studio basically. I do on location stuff sometimes. I'm thinking of all the stuff that I have there that maybe I don't need so much. I have a TV camera that I bought many years ago that I don't use anymore.
Oh.
And I still have it sitting there for, sentimental value. But maybe I might need to do something with it.
Yep. Maybe somebody else could use it.
Yes.
And start, because you've grown out of your apartment, this room, your space, and now somebody else can probably use that single item and start to build their career.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Where does your passion for Feng Shui come from?
So I always tell folks that when I was growing up, my father's favorite day of the week was trash day. And every day every week he would, gather up the trash. To this day, he's going to be 87, and his favorite day is still trash day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy for him and us. And so so space was always important to me, like having a clear space and and I was always moving things around. I was moving furniture, my bed and bureaus, and I still do. Come home, my husband never knows where things might be. I'm always moving things around. So it's very innate. I feel like I was sort of born to be thinking about space and working in space.
Very nice. I kept it from the presentation, so please.
All right, let's see. Where can we go? So when you have an intention, you want to have a clear intention, and you want to set that intention so that it's already happening in your life. So when you look at your space and you think, why am I doing this? So you might want to say something to yourself like, I intend to work every day to clean and declutter my home and life for a new owner. Maybe you have an intention for folks to kind of work towards, selling this home and getting another home, a bigger home or smaller home, depending on where you are in your life. I clean and declutter my home to make way for new opportunities. New opportunities. Okay. So Feng Shui is a moment in time. So and once that intention is realized, shake things up again. I choose only what is essential for a happy and healthy life.
I like that.
That's
because
a good
it's all
one.
about happiness and health. Thing without health, it's hard to have happiness, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. All right. So, do you want to continue on? We have some.
I want to continue on. You're the boss.
All right.
You call the shots.
All right. So we're going to talk about some basic Feng Shui principles that are important when you're considering your home and your space where you live. And again, it doesn't have to be a full home apartment. It can be if you live in a mobile home, wherever you live, your space. So when you're entering your own home, enter the front door, and do you have a transition area? So is there a space to get from the outside to the inside? So is there a mat on the floor? And so folks feel comfortable, because when folks come in, they're very, they've come rushing in the door, and they're you maybe had a difficult time parking or whatever. So you need a place for them to be greeted. So generally, it's a mat on the floor. You place for their keys, for their hat, for their coat, and then you want to look at your front door. You want to assess your front door. Is it a healthy front door? Is it not? Is it painted? Is it not chipped? Does it open freely? Do you have clutter behind your door? It's so important, because remember, right where we first started, chi is entering from the river, which is the street, into your home, and you want to make sure that your door is as welcoming to that chi and you as can be. So you want to make sure that there's nothing behind that door.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does the color of the door have anything to do with it, if you use a darker color or a lighter color?
Right. So Feng Shui has a very clear principle on that. And you can drive through your neighborhood and know somebody that's probably read a Feng Shui book, because they have a red door. Red is the color of protection in Feng Shui. It's like a stop sign for energy. So when people are if there's negative energy in the neighborhood, or happening around your neighborhood, your red door is a call to action. It is stop, keep moving along. So red doors are very important. If you can't have a red door, a lot of folks can't, a red wreath or a red mat on the floor, and if at all, some folks say, my association doesn't allow anything except for, then you can hang a red tassel on your doorknob. There has to be some symbol of intention of a clear guide for energy. Okay, so energy is going to stop here before it enters your home, because you're going to welcome energy into your home.
Very
so
nice.
Any unwanted energy is not coming through.
Thank you much.
So, right. Your doorbell, does it work? Or do you have a knocker? Because energy opportunities come knocking, right? So you want to make sure your doorbell is working.
Nice.
And we have the kitchen. Kitchen's a very interesting place. So in Feng Shui, which is very traditional, it's very from 4,000 years traditional, where usually the head of the household was the father, and he went out and worked, and the woman was the one who stayed home to cook. So it's about protecting the cook and the stove. The most important thing, your front door, your stove, and your bed in your bedroom, your stove. Because your stove, protecting the cook, the cook will cook a meal, so good food, good health, and good wealth. So the three things go together: good food, good health, good wealth. And that all starts from your stove.
Interesting.
And a good cook, I guess. But your stove. So your stove is your money maker. So how do you treat your stove? Is it as clean as it can be? The top and inside? Are you using all your burners? Because if you have 4 burners, you have 4 opportunities to light up your money luck. So you really want that stove in very good working conditions. Is it repaired? If it's broken, do you have it repaired? Are all the knobs working? It's so important. People ask a lot about color in your kitchen. It's not important, and I get asked a lot about color choices. And for the kitchen, I always say your food needs to look better than the colors on your wall, because you want people complimenting you on the beautiful dish that you spent all afternoon cooking, and not the color you chose for your wall in the kitchen.
Gotcha.
Never red.
Never red.
Because red remember this is a place to be nourished, and red can be two things: passion or anger. So you want to limit the amount of red in your kitchen because you don't want to generate any, family drama.
That's very good to know.
Yep. So keep the red at a subdued color in your kitchen. Keep your countertops clear. And we always talk about hiding your trash can and your knives. Now people always ask, why is that?
Why is that?
Very good. Because the knives are very sharp, and they call this cutting chi. So if you have family that tends to want to sort of cut each other down, we all know those family members, hide your knives. Don't let them out. Leave that cutting energy underneath the sink or in a cabinet. So, and that's just might help keep the chi elevated in the home. And trash cans is because we don't necessarily want to hide. We don't want anyone to see our trash, or sort of what exposing it to the world. We sort of want to keep things, quiet. Your energy, family energy. Yes.
Question. What about having plants in the house?
Plants are amazing, but you can have too many.
Okay.
3 plants is enough. Depending in one area, no more than 3. Because then it overwhelms a place. You feel like you're in the jungle, or you're in a garden shop, and not. If your space is intended to be a kitchen where people talk and have a nice meal and enjoy each other, then you don't want the plants to be the main item in the room. So you want to keep that energy a little bit calmer, and 3 of anything is fine.
Very well.
Especially a lot of people like collections, and so we always talk about, rotate them. Rotate 3 and 3, and then everybody gets to enjoy them.
Okay.
The dining room. Dining room is an interesting place. Folks that have a dining room don't use it as a dining room. Maybe you're using it as a TV studio, or maybe you're using it as a place to hang your laundry room. So it's important for the dining room just to be used for what it's meant to be. Some people repurpose it to be another bedroom, but if it's a dining room, use it as a dining room. And the one question I get asked about a lot is things, especially in the dining room, they may have 3 or 4 sets of plates or dinnerware, and usually given by to another person. And I have to frequently give folks permission to let those things go, even though it might be from a family member or a friend, or if it was given to you and it's not serving you right now, who you are, it's not bringing you joy, then it's okay to give it away, lend it, sell it, so that somebody else can enjoy it.
So Feng Shui is somewhat about having things that bring you joy in your living space.
Life. Yep.
Okay.
Only, exactly.
Okay.
And using that space to for what it's meant to be. Living room, shared space, very difficult to keep a living room clean and clear, because that seems to be where the clutter tends to. So mostly to look at the space and look at everything on the shelves that you have, and only show to the world what it is that's happening with you at this particular time in your life. So if I walked into your living room, I would be able to see all the things that bring you joy right now in your life.
Okay.
Too much furniture is one that folks really struggle with, and it does the furniture. And folks sometimes can overpopulate, and what happens when you overpopulate, then a lot of folks come to your home because there's a place to sit. But if you want to live a quiet life, or more quiet life, sometimes you just remove those chairs and things amazingly will settle down for you. And I've had clients that have asked for both. I don't understand why people come and they stay at my house for a long time, and I just really and I say, well, you have big comfortable chairs and it has their name on them, and so
okay.
and they say, oh,
that's interesting.
So it's all about. So removing furniture that is just too big. We could talk about furniture that bites you. Sometimes it's too sharp, or it's pokes at you. So you have to look at your furniture, and is it what you want it to be? Now, if you don't want people to visit, keep that furniture, because that's exactly what you want, and maybe you'll limit the folks that come to your house. Talk about rugs. Having rugs underneath your space helps to ground it. And we talk about safe seating, and what that means is that you folks should be able to see the entrance to the room, because that is the most comfortable. For folks. So it's interesting and there's a whole lot around, they call that commanding position, and who's in the most commanding position, but yet how to have everybody be in a safe place in the space. We talked about limits, chatty possessions. We talked about that everything has a voice. And sometimes electronics in a cabinet is a little bit, eliminates some of the added energy in a space. Not everybody can do that, but it is helpful. Okay. So it's nice to have just a very easy living space, living area. Okay. And the last area I really want to talk to you about is, and talk to the folks about is the master bedroom. And the master bedroom is only for three things: sleep, rest, and intimacy. If a Feng Shui consultant had his perfect bedroom, it would be just the bed and two side tables. There would be no bathroom attached. There would be no closets.
No TV,
no TV, no speakers, no exercise equipment.
I'm in trouble.
No ironing board. Right. So that is because I ask folks talk about their bedrooms a lot, and I will ask, well, how do you sleep in the bedroom? And if you're sleeping fine, then don't do anything, because your space is exactly the way it should be. But if you're not sleeping, then maybe there's some added energy in that bedroom that just needs to be adjusted or calmed down. Like that go back to the water metaphor, too much water, too much energy in that bedroom. So it's very important to manage that bedroom.
Interesting.
Yep. So anyways, Feng Shui principles for the bedroom is really important. Keep the space under your bed clear. Energy surrounds you. When you're sleeping at night, the energy that is circulating around you is nourishing you for the next day. If you have your shoes that have been all over the world, right, underneath your bed, that's the energy that's circulating around you. So keep that area very clear and very quiet. Clean off the bureaus. Keep that space. It doesn't have to look like a magazine, but that area you should know what's on your bureau space, on the top of your bureau surfaces. How about jewelry that doesn't make you happy? Folks have a lot of jewelry from past relationships or from that was given to them that just don't bring joy. And metal holds a lot of energy. So it's okay for those things to be let go. Negative clothing, or clothing that is too big or too small, it's mocking you. In your closet, you open the closet and those sizes are never going to fit. You keep them in there, but let those go. Live for today. Live for who you are.
I like that.
Furniture. Some people have such big furniture in a very small room, but again, the only thing in the bedroom that should be there is you and your partner, or if you're seeking a partner, then that's where the Feng Shui consultant will come in too, to help organize your space so that it's energy that's attracting a partner.
So if you're single, get into Feng Shui.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And keep that space. We talked about eliminate anything in there that's not helpful to the relationship. When we joke about having kids in the bedroom, it's probably not the best thing. But pets are okay. Dogs and cats and dogs may bring good chi to the space.
Interesting.
So, anyway, we're almost finished.
I'm fascinated. I'm thinking we have like 3 minutes left, and I'm afraid to tell you because this is good stuff.
Good. Well, I can finish with probably a story.
Yes, that would be lovely.
From a friend of mine that sort of puts all of this together. And I have her permission to tell the story, so it's a terrific Feng Shui success story. She was a girl who was actually one of the nurses that I worked with very early on, so she knew about my journey through Feng Shui, and she'd been part of it all along. And they moved into a new home, and she's asked me to come, and would I help her to Feng Shui her upstairs bedroom. And the interesting thing about this home was that she didn't really want this home. Her husband loved this house, and so she agreed to go. She loved her old house, but she agreed. So when we went up into the bedroom, there were some interesting, first of all, it was a very bright color. Her husband painted, and it was bright yellow. So it looked like sunlight. And her problem was, her intention, because she didn't sleep, was to get better sleep. That was her intention. It was very clear. And I said, wow, it's very bright in here. She said, oh, we just painted it this, lemon yellow, sunshine yellow. And I said, well, that's going to bring a lot of daylight, to your space. And she, as we were walking around, I said, tell me about what's on your, the interesting things on your bureau. And she said, well, there's my photographs of my son-in-law and my daughter. And she said, and the new baby, because there was a baby in the home. And I said, well, if everything has a voice, tell me what they're saying to you. She said, my daughter is asking me to babysit. The baby's generally crying. And I don't know why my son-in-law is actually in my bedroom. I said, well, it's a really good idea to take any photographs out of the bedroom except for you and whoever else is sleeping in that space, your partner. Those are the only photographs to have in your bedroom. And as we were moving through her home, and I said, well, tell me about what, she had some vases. And she said, oh, those aren't vases. Those are urns. She said, this urn is my dad and the family pet, the dog. And we talked about these two items. And she said, well, maybe that's not the best place for my dad, because he really never wanted me to do what I'm doing. He really wished I was a doctor. I said, okay. And then she thought in her head, and she went running to her bed, and she dove underneath her bed. She pulled out an old, tattered cardboard box, and she held up an album, and it was her first wedding album.
Wow. And
she said, it's probably not a good idea to have my ex-relationship underneath my bed. I said, that's right. Out it went.
Wow. Awesome story. See, we're about to run out of time, so I want you to come back. I want to give you an official invitation to come back. This has been fascinating. Now, if someone had any questions for you or wanted to reach out to you, how could they do that?
They could do that through my website. It's www.FSS Feng Shui Services, ONE of New England. So FSSONE of New England.com.
Well, Julie, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
See how time flew away?
It was amazing.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It certainly does.
Yeah, I've learned a lot,
Rafael,
sincerely.
Thank you so much.
I thank you.
Okay.
And I thank you, the audience, for being with us. As you can see, this has been a very, very fascinating interview. Fascinating lady, fascinating information. Now we know more about Feng Shui. I suggest reach out to her with more questions. I'm going to do a lot of thinking about my own place, and I know that you would too. So thank you for watching. We appreciate it, and we wish you love, happiness, and prosperity, and health, of course. Your friend, your CHW, Rafael Calderon. God bless.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.